We could talk about this over.
Yeah. So now we are recording. Yeah. Okay. So I am here with Shannon Funchess. I've been trying to get this interview for a while now. So I'm really excited to finally get this chance to speak to you. So Shannon, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Right before I started, I hit record because people who've seen my interviews know that we talk first. You were asking me about what I teach entrepreneurship. And so since I try to weave that in at some point, this is a good way for me to weave it in now. But what I teach an introductory kind of entrepreneurship class where I teach students how to find a market problem and develop a solution. Right. So rather than just like, what's your greatest idea? It's no, what is the problem out there that needs fixing? And those can range all over the place to anything. But the classes that are really more, I wouldn't say more important to me, maybe more important. I teach social entrepreneurship and ecopreneurship. I've taught a course in gender and entrepreneurship. This summer, I'm teaching a course on minority and women-owned business entrepreneurship. And I teach a course in managing diversity. And so I try to do a lot of projects in these that are related to trying to help the community. So I live in Charleston. There's a lot of history here. A lot of it not so good. There's a lot of problems here. And so I try to work with organizations to utilize, students who are interested in, want to help, right? So we work on, like last semester, I had a whole class working with an organization addressing environmental racism in an area here in Charleston. And so they each looked at different problems and did some research into it and came up with some solutions and presented that to the community on, how they can address issues like flooding and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, so when people think entrepreneurship, they're like, okay, you just teach people how to make money. It's like, no, I do it more how to teach people to make a difference, make change. Yeah. Even if it does involve making money.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a capitalist society, so there's really no way around that. Yeah. I mean, I think there are ways around capitalism, but but in a capitalist society, money talks, so on a So there's.
Well, the good news is that there are many more businesses today that are socially minded, right? There's a whole concept of a benefit corporation that contradicts a C corporation. So, the big companies whose purpose is profit, a benefit corporation serves a benefit to some kind of benefit before profit.
Okay.
It's the purpose of it is to create some kind of community good while also making money.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's that. Social entrepreneurship is huge. Yeah. So it's, to me, it's one of the ways to make a difference, right? I mean, if you think about businesses being one of the primary causes of a lot of problems, and there are different ways to approach it. You can go through government, kind of ineffective. Protests can sometimes work. But what companies really respond to is competition in the marketplace. So you see companies now starting to be more responsible because they're seeing all these other companies who are responsible pulling all their customers away.
Right.
Because people are more, because of the internet, we know more about what we're buying and we make more informed purchases. So,
yeah. I mean, do you think, I think this is a widespread thing, but do you think that this is actually affecting like the Midwest or the South? I mean, it's like, you and I, we're in our like bubbles. The average like American family though is not on your Twitch channel or on Clubhouse or on Discord. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I guess it has to start somewhere. So the conversations have started, and you're right, like with social media, it's definitely, the word is definitely getting out there faster and reaching a broader audience through these civil rights and like social eco and social justice movements. So
I mean, you'll be surprised. One of the nice things that we've discovered on Twitch is just how many people are out there that none of us would ever have met, because they are in the middle of Iowa or Kansas or who knows.
But there's inequality even there through access, like equitable access to the internet and bandwidth, and you have like companies like Comcast or whoever your provider is, wherever you are, like basically shutting people out, and it's like a form of control of information.
Definitely. It's definitely a serious problem. In fact, that was something in a class last semester we had to take into account. The students it didn't dawn on them that people in these low-income communities don't have broadband internet, even though they live right
or
here,
rural areas,
right? But even right here in the city, right? Well, city Charleston, but it's they don't have enough money to pay for $50 a month for Comcast. So they're limited to, whatever bandwidth they get from their cell provider. So they had to take that into account to their solutions. It wasn't going to be, a multimedia website, right?
And they're probably using like, Metro PCS or something like that, where it's really, those phones are geared towards like poor people and immigrants who don't, or homeless people, who don't have addresses, or who don't, that don't have addresses, don't have the income. So it's really, what's the word? Exclusatory, this information age that everybody thinks everybody has the same access, and they don't.
No, it's crazy.
And so that's the sort of talks, I'm interested in engaging and exploring when it comes to technology and inclusiveness, and the dispersion of wealth. Like you have people like raging about cryptocurrency and NFTs, and it's like the majority of like the people that are going to benefit from this are the same people who've been benefiting the entire time, which are like white people and mainly like white men. And so it's like we have to like start, and it's same with AI. It's like we have to start we have to get ahead of this and start educating marginalized folks, and period. Like we have to like get people like yourself talking about this, teaching about this, informing, disrupting,
and I do what I can. Involved in a few things.
Take your privilege and put it to good use.
I mean, I've got almost all the privilege, so I might as well use it, right? I have tenure too, so that helps. So, students, I like to have them like do research on stuff. Just like pick some topic, like in my diversity class, they brainstormed topics and then broke up into groups to research and present. And you know, so each week it's like, you know, a couple of new topics, and everyone's like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And so they've learned a lot. And one of the things that, you know, I've been pushing lately is that if you really want change to happen, you need to go and get more women and people of color to run for office. Right? Because why do we have these bad laws? Because they're written by old white men. You know, we don't need more of them.
Well, it's definitely like running for office. Like you said, you mentioned government earlier and how effective that was. It's you also just have to have these marginalized people need a seat at the table wherever it is, like whether, you know, sitting on a faculty board at your college, or in your wherever there are, you know, seats to be had in your community, on every level, Indigenous folks, women of color, you know, LGBTQ folks. I'm not saying this isn't about what was the term in the 80s and 90s and all through the early aughts, affirmative action. I'm not talking about affirmative action. That to me was just like a farce. It was about optics. It wasn't about like actual change or any sort of sincerity. But I also wonder if this topic might be not boring to people who came on to your show to see us, but this is how we, as real people, not, you know, I'm not pitching anything right now, an album or something. So this is like how you're going to see me on any given day. This is where my head.
And that's
I hope it's authentic, and if people aren't enjoying conversation thus far,
they've got 100
might
other
want to go and watch some Minecraft or something.
No, people that have been watching my interviews know these are different, because they're, if it's not that we always get
people too with hearts and souls.
I mean, I have it on my Facebook for this. It's music, social activism, and entrepreneurship. So I mean, it's built in from the beginning that there's going to be some of that. It doesn't always happen because not everybody has like something they're really passionate about, but when there is, we talk about it, and got to. So I might have to plug my camera in. So this might be this moment when you do the Monty Python thing, if you think it's necessary. But hold tight. I have an iPhone 7, and this motherfucker just likes to die whenever it feels like. So I'm rushing around. I'm like, where's my long proprietary lightning cable? I wonder if I turn my camera upside down, if that's gonna make an issue, because you know they put the dongle on the bottom. And they don't allow for. We'll find out.
Am I upside down now? I'm upside down, ain't I?
Nope.
I'm upside down.
No, you're not.
Awesome. Sweet.
All right.
Look at that. Look at me being all techie and all that techie. Well, you're upside down, so this is going to be fun.
I can't change that.
For the rest of the conversation, I just want you to know that I'm upside down and you're upside down. Just so y'all are wondering what a day in the life looks like when you ask to Zoom me, like I see you like completely upside down. So
that's okay. So now it's puffy white hair instead of the white beard.
Yeah, totally. You have a very smooth, slick back chin right now. It's like, you know, like the hand puppet.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, I don't even know which way to go now. That's what it looks like to me. Like you put the eyes. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
You put the eyes right here, and it's just like. Anyway, never mind. Let's proceed.
Okay. So we've already jumped or we've gotten off of where I usually start, which is specifically talking about music. And the important question I ask is, what does music mean to you?
Well, to me, it means a lot. It's like everything. I don't want to get too like spiritual, esoteric, but it is the one language that everybody relates to and communicates through. I mean, music is possibly the first language in the history of, biblios for the humanity,
right?
Or the lack thereof. So yeah, it's really important to me, not only for the obvious reasons. I mean, I'm a DIY artist for all intensive purposes, underground. But I've been lucky enough to be able to sustain my very simple, modest lifestyle through music, and I'm really grateful for that. So it's highly important to me to be able to create and produce music that people actually want to hear and support. And I mean, that literally and figuratively supports my life. So it's life support. It's simple. It's that simple. So it's super important. Also, growing up in this country, it's saved my life, like, so countless times. Like, music has supported me in a variety of ways throughout my life. I can't express how important music is to me.
Yeah,
it's really not black and white. It's completely it's completely intertwined into every waking moment for me. Even when I'm not listening to music, I'm thinking about music. Even when I'm not awake, I might be dreaming about something that has some element of music to it. I used to, very interestingly, I used to have this reoccurring nightmare where there's this really low, like, sub-frequency tone, and that's all it is a really low, just unimaginably low frequency that I interpreted as like a sub bass in what's the word I'm looking for? I'm comparing it to like a sub bass sound, and it's just like a singular note, and it's just like the lower that I could go,
right?
And not so textured, but it's just like just there, almost like imperceptible,
right?
And that shit, like, just, I mean, I feel like it's used in sound design as well, like in every horror film there's this really low, really low, and you're supposed to be expecting the worst when you hear that, and usually the worst happens, and I would have this reoccurring nightmare with just setting the tone, the literal tone for everything. Terrifying.
Well, see,
really
now you
powerful stuff. It's really
now you got to make something with that. Like Stephen King makes all of his books based out on his nightmares. So There you go.
Oh yeah, totally. I gotta put that to use. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way you were talking about, what music means to you, I've heard, I've asked a lot of people this question, so I've gotten that similar answer many times. And so I've come to the conclusion that music is the force.
You mean like Star Wars?
Like Star Wars, the force. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Music is the force.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It permeates everything. It gives life. It's universal. All those things. Same thing. Gives people power.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, you look at my name, Dave Skywalker, so obviously.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's okay.
Went right over there.
Yeah.
Until just now, obviously. Okay, now it all makes sense. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, before all this lockdown, I looked different. I looked basically just like Mark Hamill in Star Wars. I did cosplay as him, so my beard was just like that. My hair was long, and
oh, you mean like Obi-Wan?
No, Luke Skywalker.
Oh, you said a name, but I
Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
The original.
No, from the more recent movies. Where he's old and he's got a beard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I look a lot like him. Like when I take my glasses off and I'm in costume, I've had people like do double takes. Like,
do you go to Comic-Con and work that?
I go to since I'm on the East Coast, I go to Dragon Con.
Okay.
In Atlanta, which is.
Oh, I didn't realize it was just East West. Like I didn't know.
Well, I mean,
they didn't travel.
They're so Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. A lot of these are all corporate run. Dragon Con is fan run, so it's a very different kind of thing. It's a 4-day nonstop party.
Okay.
It is where costumes really come out. It's where you get to meet and interact and hang out with artists. I mean, you can go up and talk to them at their booths. You don't have to buy something from them to talk to them. And a lot of times they're hanging out at night partying too. So.
What's going on? I mean, who goes to Dragon Con?
Oh, Dragon Con is like everything. If there's a topic.
Holy shit, it was founded in 87. I didn't know.
Yeah. So, I mean,
80,000 people in 2017.
Yeah.
And it was in Atlanta. Though.
Yep. Every year in Atlanta, it takes up 5 hotels for the actual con, and then they take over the rest of the city as well. But there's everything you can imagine there, right? So it's not just pop culture. There's a whole thing on writing. There's a whole science track. So you'll get people from NASA coming to talk.
Wow.
I went and watched a session one time with one of the leaders or one of the Mars rovers, just presenting like what they just downloaded yesterday. And here we are. It's like, cool, stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And there's music, lots of music.
Okay.
It's a lot of, like folk kind of stuff, but then you've had some gothy, industrially kind of bands that have played there. So, there's
how does one get booked at Dragon
Con? You apply.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And hope they accept you. A lot of people apply. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Who was there recently? Well, not recently. I can't remember, but yeah.
Is it annual?
Yes. It wasn't obviously in person last year, and I really doubt it's going to be in person this year either.
It says it's going to be in person this year. Is like next date.
I'm not going.
There, and then there's that.
Dude, you get sick enough going and hanging out with 75,000 drunk people already,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to like throw a virus in
COVID in there, right? Yeah.
You don't throw the real dystopian, real IRL happening into Dragon Con. Okay.
Right. That. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was immense fun. I've met a lot of cool people, cool, actors and stuff, had fun conversations. With the not quite as popular ones, you can go and talk to them for a while, which is nice. So anyway, that's Dragon Con. That's not really what we're here for. It's fun and all.
We're just chatting, yeah.
Actually, I might do. I thought about doing just a show on cosplay, costumes, and that, because there's a couple of DJs now on Twitch that do that. There's a DJ named Circuit Witch. She always dresses as an alien, so in blue with colorful dress and big hair and all that. And she has her pet pig, her space pig, and so they're coming down to Earth to play, industrial music, and so a lot of fun.
Oh wait, she's not a gamer; she's a musician.
She's a DJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just DJ.
What's her name?
Circuit Witch. It's Circuit_Witch.
Cool.
And
see, kids, this is where you come to learn new stuff about people, DJs doing cool stuff on Twitch.
And she recently started partnering up with Alien Horror, who's she started doing some costumes to go along with Circuit Witch, but she when I first started seeing her, the room she's in is just covered in things like Mars Attacks and They Live. So she's a huge fan of that. And she's also, one of the few Black femme DJs that are out there. She's made it really clear. I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago. So
cool.
It was a lot of fun.
Sure to check that show out.
Yep, definitely. It was a lot of fun.
Did it already stream?
Yeah, it already streamed. Yep. Okay. So the thing is, all of my interviews stay online for 60 days. And I try to then restream them later after they've expired so that they're all there. People can go back and watch them at some point in time. Cool. Yeah, I may not have a whole lot of people watching when it's live because there's so much competition out there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of content in the world. Yeah.
Well, one of the nice things about this is because I'm not playing any music, I don't get any muting. So if you play any copyrighted music, Twitch has the algorithm and it'll mute it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So what I do for music is I bought from Humble Bundle, I bought this pack of really cheap game music, like 80s style game music. Mm-hmm. And so I just use that as filler when I need to have some music because it's DRM free and it's funny. So
cool. I'm learning so much from this conversation. If you see me turned over here, it's because I'm typing and writing it all down. So take notes, people. Yeah.
No, I mean, a lot of this is really about information sharing, and helping other people. That's a lot of reason why I do this is to try and help, the DJs get people to know them more. Just because, think about it, the DJ in a club, how much do you get to talk to them? Right? They're busy.
Not very much because they're working, and you shouldn't try to talk to them because they're working.
Exactly.
And I think that Daryl was, you guys were in your talk with Daryl, you guys were talking about like requests. And I thought that was a really funny segment, a good segment, because people don't get that. It's like, I've spent all this time, making these, selections, it's not, I didn't just show up with some
right.
USB keys and
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what I was planning on doing. And even if I didn't, I still have the music. I don't have the music you might want to hear, but I've definitely put some time into curating what it is I'm going to play for you, and I hope you like it. That whole like it's cool because some people are fine with requests, but it's not a wedding, you know what I mean? And it's and like Daryl was saying, like back in the day you were up in a booth like where you couldn't even approach the DJ, and that wasn't I think that was intentional, so the DJ could do the job. And as soon as like the DJ booth came out of the rafters and down to the floor or a stage, that's when it kind of all, you know, that's when people started making requests. That's also when stuff just kind of got watered down. It's just like, or when you're like, I don't know, where you hear, I don't know. It's just,
you don't hear as much.
It kind of like made everybody a DJ too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really liked what Daryl had to say as far as like DJing, their experience and like their take on what a DJ's like role is and how to set yourself apart from everybody as a DJ, you know, by putting your own like literal spin on things, you know, and making it an interesting set and a viable set that people, you know, like when you and I were like growing up or whatever, or even, you know, more rarer, I feel like today, but like you recorded, you know, you got your boombox out and you had your Maxwell or TDK cassettes, you popped that shit in there and you were trying to catch that set because it wasn't available anywhere else and you knew it was going to be great. And it was going to happen once. Now you have like DJs like traveling all over the world playing the same set everywhere they go, maybe with like slight variations, but it's more about capitalism. At the end of the day, everybody needs money to like live in a capitalist society, but it's not that interesting, you know what I mean? It's not they're not doing a lot, or you know, they're doing with four decks what people used to do with 2 decks, and they have all sorts of MIDI controllers and things now, which is great. I'm not knocking the laptop DJ at all. Like they're just tools at the end of the day. You know, I'm not a purist. I used to lug around 6 crates of records full. Sometimes they're like double crates. So it's like 2 crates in one. I'm 5'3". I'm about to be over the hill, and I was doing that into my like 40s, and I was just like, you know what, like I'm also Black, I'm living in New York, I'm DJing in Manhattan, and after like any time of the day I couldn't get a cab from Manhattan to Brooklyn in the like early 2000s and mid 2000s until like just more recently they allotted green cabs. Like they made a cab system for people going to Brooklyn. And it wasn't because they cared about brown people. It was because they were like, we're losing money because our cab drivers will not go over the bridge. And now there's a lot of white people living over there and we need their money. And so we're going to provide this service, and we're competing with Uber and Lyft and car services and stuff like that. And they're like, we're fucking up. You know what I mean? So now you can catch a cab. It's still hard, but it was impossible when I was a DJ in New York to get a cab from Manhattan to back to Brooklyn at like 5 a.m.
Right.
Because the clubs closed at 4, sometimes 4:30, sometimes 5. You know, in Brooklyn, 9 in the morning, 7 in the morning. You know what I mean? It was just, so it was hard. So I stopped using vinyl to DJ. And of course, you know, some people want to turn their nose up at that shit, but try being in my position and then tell me that you would still be carrying vinyl around. And if you depended on a car service, a cab to get home in the middle of like winter in February and like feet of snow or like negative, you know, degrees.
Yeah. So, I mean, just trying to get a cab is a feat, but having preserved those records,
6 crates of vinyl,
all those records,
fuck it.
I mean, I would fully expect like half of them have been stolen or broken or something along the way. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to carry them around.
No. So those days are over. For me anyway, like, and very interesting times. Those days of carrying around lots of vinyl in New York.
Right. But now with Twitch, you can do it from home.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And, you know, there's several DJs out there that only spin vinyl.
Yeah.
Like
I appreciate them. I totally appreciate them.
Yeah.
It's also really like expensive. Like a Technique 1200 is like $600, $700.
Yeah.
A good mixer is equally as expensive. The needles expensive. It's not. That's how hip hop got started, was because there was a blackout in the 70s, and they went to the shops and stole those shits. So who's gonna tell me that rioting isn't revolutionary? The shit is revolutionary, and I don't care what anybody says. And it changed the world. It changed the world that we live in for the better, and sometimes for the worse, but like mostly for the better. Like music evolution, it's for the better.
So, well, so speaking of music, we've been talking about music, but and talking about, so one thing I wanted to bring up was and this connected to something we were talking about earlier, but I already forgot what it was. But Cold Waves. I know, you were talking Cold Waves, the festival in Chicago. You were talking about, you know, almost being over the hill. That Cold Waves, when you were there, that was my 50th birthday weekend.
Wow.
So
congrats.
Yeah, so I celebrated for 5 days. I called it my first half century celebration, but I have to say that
right behind you, brother,
one of the biggest highlights of that whole thing was when you got up on stage with Test Department.
Woohoo! Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was fun. That was really last minute. I'd never met them before. And they were really sweet. And it was like an honor to be able to get up with some legends like that, to be invited to be, you know, grace their stage. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea that wasn't planned. It was great.
Yeah. They just kind of said, hey, come out.
Yeah. We were just backstage talking, and they were like, you should get up on stage with us, love. Yeah. Really terrible English accent right then. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. We got that. But yeah,
they're probably from Scotland too or something, and I'm like, I'm fucking up all over the place.
No,
but they were great. They were great, and that was a lot of fun. And I really appreciate them and their long history of political activism and
in fact, I got to chat with them after that show. It was fun.
Cool. They're really chill. They're nice.
Oh yeah. And I got to chat with you though, like almost every night, because you were there the whole time. So
yeah, it was fun.
But,
I can't believe I've never been before. That was wild.
Yeah. Oh, I love
haven't
it.
spent a lot of time in Chicago. I've been there a handful of times for shows, but I don't know why. I haven't been there more, like every time, you know.
Well, now you know.
Now I know. I mean, I have always known that Chicago is a huge influential city when it comes to culture in America in general, but especially with music. I'm not a sports fan, sorry, but yeah, definitely on the music tip. So that's why I'm always shocked that you know, that I haven't spent more time there. And obviously Wax Trax is there, and that's been a huge influence on the music that I create, and the music that I grew up listening to. So yeah.
So speaking of your music, I do want to mention that you are now on Bandcamp.
Yes, finally. And I still have to get everything up there. But I'm working on that. That's like on my to-do list this week. There's a lot of things I haven't been done over the years. Just feeling overwhelmed by everything. And been through the fire, and I'm hoping to come out the other end in 2021, like to just really like top that fire off and set it all ablaze. It looks maybe I froze for a second, but and come out on top of the heap of ashes.
Well, I know one thing there is
not burning bridges or anything like that, just been baptism by fire.
One is you have a new shirt, or at least a shirt from last year, which you're wearing now. I don't know if you want to show that off.
This was I played some shows in a couple of festivals in Mexico City at the beginning of 2020, and so I'd made them for that, and then really figured out that there are going to be better bootlegs of your shit out there for cheaper, and that it was really costly to fly with merch. So and I only made 75 to start with. So the first place I ever sold this particular shirt was in San Diego, and it has the 2020 on there because the camera's upside down. I don't know where it bent, but and it has bleeding from the state. Oh Lord, how do I do this? Upside down. How do I do it? And then it's the band name on there. And I will have these available. If not a Big Cartel or Bandcamp, next Bandcamp Friday again, as we were talking about before you started recording. These, you know, everybody wants their piece, right? So if you support artists on Bandcamp, the best thing you could do is to download their music, one, instead of just streaming and listening to it, because there are record labels up on Bandcamp, but there are artists up on Bandcamp, and it's really liberating for there to be a platform that allows artists to be able to release their music DIY, and set their prices or no price, and allow people to pay what they want, as well as not having to go through all the gatekeepers and rigmarole for release times and amount of material. An artist could put up their whole catalog in one day and just tell you about it on Instagram or Twitter or Discord or wherever they hang out. And yeah, you can support the artist directly. But Bandcamp takes, like I was saying, like 10 to 15%. There is a set percentage amount, but I can't think of it right offhand because it's really new to me. I just set it up last week. And I'm still working on it. But yeah, they take their percentage, then PayPal takes their percentage, but it's better than MySpace.
Yeah. So, one recommendation, which I've started doing, I mean, I always tried to, bump up, so it's starting at or pay at least or whatever it says, right? What I've started doing is adding at least 20%. I mean, like you would do for a tip anywhere, right? And so that should help cover the fees. And then when I think something is way underpriced, I'll definitely pay a lot more. Like one of my interviews, John, had a subscription for $5. I'm like, dude, you can't put your whole, library up there for $5 a year. I'm like, all right. So I subbed for $25. And like, it still seemed cheap, but it's better than $5 Canadian dollars.
Did you say a subscription to something?
Yeah, you can subscribe on Bandcamp, and then basically then anything that's produced later you have access to.
Ah, okay.
So I do that. I have that for a couple of people, like Caustic. I'm subscribed there, so every time they come up with something, I can get it.
Is that a label or an artist?
Well, it's somewhere in Bandcamp. I don't know. I've never sold anything on Bandcamp, so I have no idea how it works.
No, you said Caustic. Is that Caustic. An artist or a label?
Yeah. Oh no, that's an artist. Yeah, that's what's his name? He's from Madison. He's part of the band Clack. They played at Cold Waves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to bail at 5:30.
Okay.
That only leaves us with 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
it's possible we do a part 2 at some point, like when I have a release to talk about. That would be great.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping that will happen by the fall.
Yeah.
And I believe I'll be performing as a part of PICA, which is the Portland Institute for Contemporary Arts annual fundraising gala, which will happen on April 30th. I just found out about this yesterday, and that's actually why I have to cut out early, is because I need to have a phone meeting with the organizers. But it's called Bloom. I'd be happy to share that information with you and folks here. I'm not sure when this airs, but if this airs before April 30th, then they can go and check that out as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm performing like 4 new songs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That I'm not prepared for. Because I've had no reason really with COVID to plan on performing these things live this soon.
But just remember, whatever comes out, that's what you intended.
Yeah, right? That's what's up. That's what's up. That is what's gonna happen. To happen. Yeah.
But I am planning a couple of things that maybe you'd be interested in joining. One, I'm right now trying to organize something for May 1st that's focused around industry people, workers in the industry, that have been suffering, from all the club closures and the venue closures and all that, right? So the DJs are most of them are doing okay, but a lot of people, still aren't. And so being, May 1st, it's, that
May Day, Beltane.
And it started in Chicago. So
May Day?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It was
a European thing.
No, it was started in Chicago. May 1st was the start of protest for an 8-hour workday.
Workers?
That, yep, worker protests that led to they were calling for an 8-hour workday. And that led to the Haymarket riot or the Haymarket massacre or the Haymarket affair, whichever you want to call it. But it was a complete miscarriage of justice.
Go figure.
Yeah, they sentenced a whole bunch of people to hanging death without any evidence that they did anything. But that's where, that's considered one of the starting moments really of the labor movement. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tragic, but at the same time, it's people must rise up and remove the foot from the neck.
Yeah. I'm trying to put together like a Twitch festival kind of thing with a bunch of DJs and artists and whatnot. So there's that. And I also want to do a show like I did, the one you watched with Daryl, but focused specifically on racism in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something we talked about before. We would talk about in the interview, but we didn't get a chance to. So that might be, when I get that arranged, that might be something that you can join in on. Or
truly.
Yeah.
Working class, rise up. Rise up.
Yep. So before you go, I have to ask my final question, which is, what gives you hope?
People rising up against oppression in all of its forms, and the community serving itself and protecting itself and each other and looking out for each other. Just seeing all the protests and all the uprising in from the street to tech, to people speaking out against medical racism, racism within the music industry, sexism and misogyny in the music industry, speaking out against rape culture, just people like really using their voices, they're dedicating their time and energy and doing the work, and realizing that people waking up and realizing that their energy, their work is actually it translates monetarily and is powerful. And people look at rich people and say, wow, they're rich and powerful. I'm like, well, we are rich together and powerful together and interdependent. And is when people realize that we have the power to end all of these struggles together by putting our money where our mouth is. Not literally, don't put money in your mouth, it's very dirty, but like basically walking the talk and putting the work in, examining your racism, examining your anti-Blackness, examining your trans and homophobia and your privilege, and
recognize that it's
dealing with that so that we can get on to a better quality of life for everyone.
Yeah, and recognizing that a lot of these are just unconscious biases that we've picked up. It's not that we're bad
programming.
People,
it's programming. We've been programmed
so
to think and to since birth we've been programmed. So there's a lot of deprogramming that has to happen, and people just need to be patient with themselves and forgive themselves, and basically do the work and get to work.
Be aware. Be aware of your own biases. Know that you can't really get rid of them. They're there, right? They're built in, but how you respond.
But you can override them.
Yes,
you can definitely.
You can.
I mean, I'm
stop
talking
yourself.
in very much computer language, but it's literally your brain is like, it's not a computer. Your brain is not a computer. Your brain is way more powerful, and the human condition is way more mysterious than any computer. And we're not just numbers to be crunched with the whole, like, the way our data, you know, people just need to realize that, like, we're being programmed. We're programming the AI, and if that scares you, then you need to wake up and do something about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Face your fears.
Yeah. So thank you very much for talking with me. I'm going
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.